take a role at Penn State Barron, and I looked at her and I'm like, I guess we're going back to Erie. And
wow,
20 years later, 2 kids later, we're here.
You're safely ensconced. Did you practice law?
I did a little bit.
Like, what was your favorite, or
yeah,
what was your specialty?
I actually went into law school to do patent law.
Yes.
And I quickly learned why patent attorneys make a lot of money. It's not that it's technically difficult. It is, but it is boring. It's very boring, like fighting with the patent office, that sort of stuff. I've always been mission driven, so I worked a little bit at the Allegheny County Public Defender's Office for a little bit. And then,
what was your caseload down there?
It was big.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm sure
it's
that
tough.
Sure, it's a large PD office, but still, each attorney must have a ton of cases.
So, when I came up here, I wanted to get into maybe some sales and that sort of stuff. So I did some for-profit sales actually with Nexstar Media.
You're a media guy.
I am. That's where
He's a man after our own heart there.
Right.
Shaney worked at Channel 24. Yeah,
that's right. And you know what happened? I've always been mission driven, right? I took a lot of what you learn as a kid to heart about helping others. Mm-hmm. And I had an opportunity to work at Shriners Hospitals for Children. And so I jumped at it. So I worked there for 7 years as their director of business development. Then got the opportunity to go to Sarah Reed Children's Center as their chief operating officer. And then, when the opportunity to lead an organization with such a fundamental mission, like Second Harvest Food Bank,
very
feeding
basic.
Our neighbors,
yes.
And to lead that sort of organization, and that also has such a massive impact, not just Erie County, the 11 counties that we serve, it just seemed like an opportunity that I had to jump at. So I threw my hat in the ring, and here we are. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was me waking up and being like, oh, wow, I made another quarter, and, I've made another sale. But really, how am I impacting my fellow humans? What kind of pushed me into the nonprofit human services world?
Talk a little bit about the scope of Second Harvest. 11 counties.
Yeah, for sure.
How large is the budget, and how does it work? Because I do, we hear this story of, if I give you $1, you can make $4 out of it, right?
Yeah. So the way the best way we put it for people is for $25, we can feed an individual for 3 weeks. So I think, and I would invite anyone to come tour our facilities up on Grimm Drive, because I think, people think of the food bank and they think of like a local pantry and one of our partner agencies, right? Where we have a 60,000 square foot warehouse, right? And so we work to source food from all sorts of locations.
This is on an industrial
It is
scale.
an industrial. Like I joke, we actually are more in the trucking logistics business than we are any other business.
I'm thinking of your walk-in cooler has, I don't know how high that rolling, door is or whatever, but it's massive.
Yeah. So, and we actually built another cooler. So we have 2 massive coolers, a freezer, dry storage space. And so the way that our model works, right, we leverage that size across 11 counties to get as much food as possible. Because when you look at like, in one of your local church pantries that's in our network, or, an organization like City Mission, wonderful organizations that are feeding people, but to try to get food on scale for them is difficult, right? That they either have to pay retail prices, try to do maybe a food drive, which isn't their specialty, right? So on this scale, what we do is we work with major manufacturers, right? You can think of like a Welch's. I just got off, on the way out, I was talking to our director of food sourcing, right? And we get these opportunities of manufacturers that call in and say, oh, we have a load of 24 pallets of something, and they couldn't sell it on the retail because maybe it was mislabeled or something like that. Wow. So we leverage those partnerships. We work with major retailers, the Walmarts, Giant Eagles, Wegmans of the world, to secure donations. And then we also will purchase wholesale, right? We work with a lot of retailers to try to get good deals, those sorts of things. And so through this massive operation, we can get food at scale, right? And then what we do is we've created a charitable food network. About 300, I think right now we're about 384 partner agencies across the 11 counties. So folks can think of those as your local faith-based pantry, a soup kitchen. Those sorts of organizations are in our network, and then they can order food from us through that.
So there's like if you do just soup kitchen, right, where you are actually feeding, you're feeding the person as opposed to giving them a package or a bag or a box. They could order like the huge cans of chicken soup or whatever.
Yes.
And
exactly.
From you guys.
Exactly. That's right.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And then we've built out, the term everyone uses right now, food rescue, right? We've built out that operations as well. So
that's relatively new, right?
Yeah. So it's funny. Food banking started, I think, about in the 70s, and really it's always been food rescue, right? But that's kind of the trendy, I would say, term for it. But it's a lot more now of that grassroots stuff where we're partnering with, there's all these Dollar Generals that have sprung up everywhere. So we've onboarded almost 100 Dollar Generals into our retail food rescue program. And so a couple things happen. Either our drivers, our warehouse workers, those sorts of folks will go out and get food that, is maybe near an expiration, but it's still good, but they can't sell it, right? Or what we do is in certain regions and counties, we'll partner some of those pantries directly with, say, their local Dollar General or Walmart.
And so you're making that connection.
Yeah, so we're going to make those connections because on the scale that we're at, we have those relationships with the VP of whatever.
No reason to bring it up to Erie if it's going to stay in to
transfer
you.
It. That's right.
Wow.
Right. So yeah, we've built out this massive, I call it a charitable food network.
Well. And again, most lay people don't understand how food works.
Sure.
When you see a date, a Best Buy date on, let's say, frozen food, right? Isn't it like good for a while past that?
Yeah. So actually on our website, NWPAfoodbank.org, people can go on there and kind of check. We have different resources available for how good the food actually is. So yeah, you are not wrong. When you come to like canned goods, dry goods,
it's a while. It's months
last.
and months.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, because I did some volunteering and we were like packaging and saying, okay, here's still a valid can of beans, green beans.
Absolutely. So then we have, you mentioned the volunteerism.
Yeah.
So we have about 40, 50 employees right now, but really the heart of what we do is our volunteers. We could not do it without them. So when you think of like a food drive that comes into us, we have our volunteers trained in what you were just mentioning, right? They check dates and cans and all of that sort of stuff and sort and pack and they are definitely the backbone of this network.
How do you pay for all that? Like as far as volunteers, where does your funding come from?
Great question. So couple different sources. I mean, one is charitable donations, right? And it is literally from the community.
You guys do pretty good on Erie Gives.
Yeah, and that is one thing that has inspired me. I know we are in challenging times right now, but Erie and the surrounding communities, this area of northwestern PA really believes in that community, and so we get a lot of donations where folks that say, I can give $25 because we can turn that into that many meals for that many people. So a lot of private donations. We obviously work with private foundations, corporations. We've just received a couple very nice donations from the First Energy Corporation, Giant Eagle Foundation. So a lot of those sorts of foundations. We also work through and administer certain governmental programs. So we do the State Food Purchase Program, which is administered at the county level. So we work through some of those programs, and then we also administer a couple different federal programs. I'm about to give out a whole word salad of different programs, right? So like
a lot with
TFAP,
Department of Ag.
Yes.
Right?
So TFAP is one, CSFP, what people would know as the senior boxes. So really, we get funding from a plethora of different places, and use that then to either purchase food, pay shipping.
I was gonna say you have operational
fuels,
expenses.
yeah, right. So
I mean, again,
trucking
when we
and-
say
yes,
industrial level, not only does he have 60,000 square feet and all of these high end coolers and things and racks and what have you, but you have to roll trucks.
Yes, yeah. So we have a
you're
CDL
rolling-
fleet. We have
Yes.
box truck fleet. Yeah, yeah. So like I said, we are the trucking, logistics, shipping is really what our specialty is.
Greg Hall
Besides
is,
fundraising and
Right,
finding
yes.
food for our neighbors.
That's on you, the fundraising
That's
stuff.
right,
Yeah.
that's right.
Greg Hall is the CEO of the Second Harvest Food Bank of Northwest PA. When we come back, we're going to dig into SNAP and why the demand is so greater at this time just of our history, not just this time of year, but in history. Stay with us. Greg Hall is with us here on Talk Erie. He is the CEO of the Second Harvest Food Bank. And Greg, I need you to paint the picture. We got about 8 minutes before the bottom of the hour. Let's paint the picture of what happens when the typical pipeline for individuals like SNAP, like some of the other things, when those are shut down, like you guys step in and your pantry step in. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's a big question. So, right now we're in unprecedented times. SNAP has never not been funded in its 60-year history, right? And so we're seeing an incredible amount of need right now, anywhere from 25 to 40% new families per distribution that we're seeing. So I know percentages sound strange, but to like put it in the numbers in perspective, one of our mobile pantries where we set up actually at the local Zemzem here in the parking lot, we normally serve 110 families. We saw 150.
Wow.
This is not a rural urban issue. I was actually just on the phone with
that's West Mill Creek.
Yeah. So I was just on the phone this morning with one of our pantry runners in Clarion. And she even said to me, we're just in, a rural area. They normally see 60 families. Today they saw 93. And
that's a 50%
it is
increase.
And it is nonstop. I mean, we have run out of food at some of our mobile distributions, which has never happened. So what people are seeing, unfortunately, is the charitable food network was never designed to make up everyone's meal, right? The idea was that it can help supplement, right? Maybe you're a neighbor that has lost a job, right? Like a veteran and their family just lost a job. And we, in our network of pantries, help get them through to the next thing, right? We were not designed to pick up this whole caseload of people that just don't have food, right? So we were running some of the numbers of what could happen once the full impact of the big beautiful bill come online, right? So I think right now we're seeing just a snapshot of that with unfunded SNAP. We were looking, so last year our entire charitable food network across all of Northwest PA, all of the pantries and our distributions, we did about 10 million meals to our neighbors in need. Wow. When we look at the potential cutbacks to SNAP in our region, we're looking at a gap of maybe anywhere from 10 to 20 million meals. We would literally have to triple our output as a charitable food network to try to make up that gap.
Wait, let me make sure I understand. Mm-hmm. Are you saying that in the big beautiful bill that was passed earlier in the year, July 4th, I think it was, that there are cutbacks to to actually supplemental supplemental nutrition? What is it surrounding? Wasn't there some kind of a work requirement or something?
Yeah, so there's
am I mixing that up?
And it's a whole plethora of things, right? So there's some work requirement changes, and a lot of these sorts of changes aren't requiring any extra work. Now, I'm not a SNAP expert in that field.
Yeah. But you guys ran the numbers.
Yeah, so we ran the numbers, and a lot of it depends on how much a state is willing to take on, because there's the cost share shift to states. So I know Pennsylvania is working through all of that. So like I said, the numbers are pretty rough at this point. But I say to people, if our estimates and our statewide organizations' estimates are wrong, even by half, and it's 10 million meals, that's double what we already do. I mean, us trying to scale up to that level in 2 to 3 years as it comes online is a challenge that I hate to say the word is impossible.
Right.
And I believe in this community and the things that we can do. But again, our charitable network was never designed to do that, to replace federal and state programming at that sort of level. We were really, again, just to help our neighbors when they're struggling, right? Maybe a senior that's having some tough times making ends meet, or like I said, the veteran that loses a job versus
I'm trying
replace
to
whole meals.
I'm trying to understand
families.
what was going to be the outlet. I mean, by reducing SNAP or engaging, more rigorous rules for SNAP, where were those people going to go? Was it basically you're going to have to go get a job and buy your own food? Is that what I think maybe what the equation
the idea
was?
But a statistic that I will give that is also mind-blowing maybe is 65% of pantry users are already employed. And so this is before, and I know you and I were talking a little bit before we went on air, that it is mind-blowing to me that in the wealthiest country in the world, people that are working also still have to rely on the charitable food network, right?
Wow.
And again, the community has stepped up, which is fantastic. But at the end of the day, trying to make up that sort of funding, I'm not sure that private funders, the folks that can give us $25 and $500 here and there, can really make up that gap. And again, I don't think we were ever designed to be able to do something like that. So it's going to be a challenge. And I think, unfortunately, right now, with the SNAP being unfunded, we're seeing maybe a preview,
like a glimpse of what could what
that's
will probably happen.
That's my long-term fear.
Wow. And I got like a minute before we go to the break, but it's gotta kind of, those board meetings have got to be kind of challenging for you because, like you say, this is unprecedented territory.
It is. And, at the end of the day, I would say not feeding people is not an option. And we in the board are already looking at, creative ways and what can we do to help these sorts of things. So, yeah, they are challenging conversations that we are currently having.
We're talking to Greg Hall here. He's the CEO of the Second Harvest Food Bank. And we do need to go to break, but I've got like a half a minute here. It's hunting season at the end of the month.
It is. That's
you
right.
guys get benefit sometimes from
Yeah,
that.
we have a great program called Hunters Share the Harvest. I think you can find out more about that on our website, but it's a fantastic program. So hunters can work with a local processor and donate venison to us, and then we get it out to the neighbors.
So do the major processors kind of
Yeah, there's a
just work
couple
with you?
processors that are part of the program that are that have gone through the Pennsylvania Department of Ag's programming to make sure that that they're processing everything safely and those sorts of things. So yeah, it's a great program.
Yeah, sounds like more protein for everyone.
Absolutely.
Stay with us, Greg, and stay with us, dear listener. We'll be back after the news. You're tuned to Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show here. It is 4:34. On a Tuesday, we're having the crucial conversations that Erie needs from our Kingdom Financial Group studio. And Greg Hall is with us. He is the CEO of the Second Harvest Food Bank of Northwest Pennsylvania. Greg, kind of the heat is on you, is
Yes.
I mean, just a little
apropos song
a little
yeah.
bit there. We were talking off the air about some of the math here that doesn't seem to work, and so you mentioned, and we did have the county executive on yesterday. He mentioned that that SNAP pays about $18 million out in Erie County every month.
That's right.
That would be absolutely impossible if that was cut in half, or even 10%, $1.8 million a month, right? Think about it.
Yeah, and I think to my point earlier that the charitable food network, food banks across this country were never designed to make that up, right? So to lose, just looking at Erie County, that $18 million per month, even if we had an amazing donor, and if you are out there as an amazing donor,
yes,
donate $1 million, we're never going to make that up. And again, our mission and what we do was never designed to do that. We truly are food pantries. Those sorts of things are really to help our neighbors in need at that moment, either, get back into the workforce, or if they're on hard times, that we can help them versus try to make up their entire nutrition and food and be the only place they get food. And that's not what we were ever designed to be able to do.
So here's the reality of what we're dealing with here. Even if the government shutdown ends this week, there is going to be a little ramp up time to get funding out there.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we have a situation where the big beautiful bill it has some provisions to limit or to reduce SNAP. So even if the shutdown never happened, what you're saying that you would have to double your output to match it?
Preliminary numbers, that's what we're seeing, that we would potentially have to double what we do to make up that sort of gap. And again, even if our numbers are way off and it's half of that, that's still another 5 million meals, and we only did 10 million. I shouldn't say only. It's an amazing number. I don't want to downplay how amazing our network is, how amazing our partner pantries and faith-based pantries and soup kitchens, and how amazing they all are and the work that they do. But when you think about that, across 11 counties, 384 partner agencies, and we did 10 million meals last year, which is amazing. Right, amazing. But then to try to make that up, the 5 million, the 10 million, the math just doesn't work in my head.
I got to ask you, did you notice a situation with when government employees were laid off and not bringing in dollars? We have over 800 U.S. federal employees in Erie County. Was there demand coming from that angle?
Yeah, unfortunately. So with the federal shutdown and also the state budget impasse have created I hate to say, the perfect storm in Erie County right now. Right. So, I feel like the federal workers are getting a little lost in all of this as well. And we have been working with, some federal employers here, the airport, those sorts of organizations, to get them emergency food boxes as well, because many of them have now been working, a month without a paycheck.
Yeah.
So, so we are seeing that as well. That is part of the demand that we're seeing.
Let's talk also. We mentioned the harvest for the hunting season. You also do a lot with farmers and fresh produce. That's why you have these coolers here. Tell me how that works.
Yeah. So, and I mentioned our second cooler that we just completed that project just, I want to say maybe 4 months ago. We got the full racking in at this point, and the whole idea was building out more of that produce. So it works a couple of different ways. We partner with, local Pennsylvania farmers. We purchase food and produce directly from them, both through a couple different state programs called PASS, a few others. We also work with them for donations. So everything we call we have a gleaning program, right, where they will pick their harvest, and then allow us and our volunteers to come on and pick, kind of what's left over. And
Sounds almost biblical, like Ruth and
gleaning
Boaz,
has
right?
a very, long biblical, ancient history of what it is. And we're literally doing that. And, we've partnered with lots of farmers as well. We've had a couple farms and farmers that just donated. Sweet corn is a great example. We got almost, I think, 30,000 pounds of sweet corn this year from a couple local farms. Because the type of food that we get to our neighbors matters as well, right? So we want to make sure that we have as much fresh, nutritious produce as we can. So again, much like we talked a little bit earlier, we source that from all over the place, whether we're buying directly from local farms or farmers, working through donation programs, programs like Hunter Share the Harvest. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the idea is we want to engage with our local farmers as well, because many of them also, they share the same mission, right? Feeding people fresh, nutritious food and caring about their neighbors.
We're getting into the holiday season. A lot of folks want to figure out, to be able to be a part of the solution. And of course, Erie Gives is a good part of that. And you guys did very well for that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And got Giving Tuesday coming up, but talk about, either best practice or what is the most helpful thing, because everybody has a food pantry in their neighborhood or in their small town. I have a dear friend that runs the Union City Food Pantry, Lenora Rum.
Oh, right? Yeah, I know Lenora very well.
And
yes,
I mean, she is on it,
she
man.
Is fantastic.
And,
absolutely.
She's there, and places like the Union City Food Pantry, the Edinboro Food Pantry, and other places throughout the city and the county. They're there week in, week out.
Right. Yep.
But some of us are like, hey, I feel generous during the holidays. So what's the best way to go about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So when people ask, how can I help? How can I get involved? There's really three ways. So the first is a monetary donation. The second is to donate food or host a food drive. And then the third is to volunteer your time, right? To get involved either up at our warehouse or volunteer maybe at your local pantry. And so when I talk about the first two, donating food, donating money, what we say to people is if you have food in your pantry, right, a lot of us overbuy, those sorts of things, please donate that food. But if you have extra money, please don't go out and buy food and donate it to us based on what we talked about earlier, our buying power, right? For $25, we can feed an individual for 3 weeks. So we say,
I can't do that myself.
That is just way. We can't, right? we really don't want people to go out to like a Giant Eagle, Walmart to purchase that food directly. Mm-hmm. If you have it, if you host a food drive and people donate, fantastic. That is great. But if you have the money, please donate it.
So coming up, our friends over at Erie News Now have their big annual food drive. I think it's like a week from tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it is November 19th. We are so excited about that food drive. So you mentioned right around the holidays. It is fantastic to have a partner like Erie News Now that has a massive reach, right? Both on the media presence, they can promote the event, but the amount of time and effort that they help with us to set up those sites, it is such a fantastic program. This is our 25th year doing it with them. Yeah, it is great. And people can donate non-perishable food items, frozen turkeys, money, all of that without ever getting out of their car, right? So go to one of the sites that they host. It is a fantastic way to get really involved at this point and help your neighbors around the holiday season.
And, it never fails that there's a basketball game or a hockey game or something where they say, bring a non-perishable food item, right?
That's
and
right.
that, again, that just stocks your shelves, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then those foods, actually, they're some of our, so you mentioned Lenora Rum and Union City, a lot of the food pantries, that's their favorite foods to get. So what the volunteers will do, right? So we get a big food drive in, and then we mentioned sorting the cans and the goods. So what our volunteers will do, they'll actually go through and create what we call assorted grocery boxes, right? So they'll find things, theme them together, like, oh, here's, some pasta and here's some sauce, and they'll build out these boxes. So then it's almost like a, kind of a fun mystery box, right? The assorted groceries and that sort of stuff. So you really are impacting your neighbors when you're able to, contribute food, money, that sort of stuff. That's right.
Protein is such an important thing. If you happen to have like a lot of tuna fish or chili or whatever, that's helpful, isn't it?
Yeah, that is actually the biggest, I would say the biggest challenge for us in sourcing protein. That is definitely one of the biggest feedback we get from our partner pantries is how do we get more protein to our neighbors in need. So yeah, definitely a big challenge for us. But like we mentioned, the Hunter Share the Harvest program, such a fantastic way for hunters to get involved, right? Where they can donate that deer to a processor, and then we can get the meat. Now, please, go on our website, find out more about the processors that participate in that program. But again, just another great way that the community can get involved.
Greg Hall is with us here. Just got a couple minutes left, and I want you to maybe share a story that comes to mind here, because what we were saying off the air, I think, is hugely important. The idea that, groceries, I heard one commentator say, if you really look at the average grocery bill, it's gone up 50% since like 2021.
Yeah, that's probably not wrong. So I was seeing some numbers early on this year that, over the last 4 years, that it was somewhere in the 25 to 30%.
I mean,
so
whose wages have gone up that much?
And so that is actually one of the driving. So even before SNAP, even before the federal shutdown, we'd already seen a 40% increase in our, visits to our pantries and at our mobile distributions. And that is one of the huge driving factors, right? When wages aren't keeping up with those food prices, the dollar just doesn't go as far anymore, right? Wow. And so that has definitely been, prior to some of these challenges, driving the need that we're seeing.
And again, people that have probably never gone to the food pantry or used to donate to the food pantry now have to partake of it.
And so, one thing that I want to stress, you mentioned the story piece. Firstly, I will share one of the things that connects me back to the mission as much as I can, but is also heartbreaking, is when I visit a food pantry and I see, a mother and two of her children, and I really think, how in the world are we the wealthiest country in the world and we can't even, feed our most vulnerable people, right? So that's one piece. The second is, if I could get one thing across to folks that I meet with and talk with, is these are your neighbors. Right? Everybody has an idea in their head of what poverty looks like and those sorts of things. But these are your neighbors, right? This is, the veteran and their family that maybe just lost a job, the senior down the street who can't make ends meet anymore because of these grocery prices. And they might, and I shouldn't say might, they are your next door neighbors. Yeah. This is, Erie, your community members that you are helping.
When you think about it, think about that 70-year-old senior. They're still active, but maybe they've had to go on one more medicine.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's all it would take, or one car breakdown.
Yep,
and it blows everything up. The whole well-laid plan, right?
Yes, and that is what we're trying to do, right? We don't want people to make a choice between, do I take my medicine today, or do I eat? We want to get them through those times and support them so that they can live their healthiest, best lives.
Wow.
But you're not wrong. It's not just food prices. It's all the prices. So yeah, one new medication could be the thing.
Yeah,
that's right.
That $200. I mean, oh my gosh. I don't even understand Medicare and, Part D, where the donut hole and all, but
you almost have to be a trained lawyer to navigate some of that, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. Let's end on a positive note. Of course, we we are just so grateful for all of the participation
Absolutely.
in what you guys, in what the the Second Harvest Food Bank has been able to accomplish here. How old is has it been going?
Yeah, 1982.
Wow.
We were founded as the Erie Community Food Bank on Ash Street, actually down where the old Jet Radio studios were. Yeah, that's right. And to end on a positive note, right? What makes me feel positive is the response we've seen from the community, right? Is we're going out and telling the story about the rise in need and the challenge with neighbors and the current situation that we're all in. The amount of community support, feedback, letters, donations that we have received is amazing. Partner organizations working with the Erie Insurance of the world, the Giant Eagles of the world, and them getting involved. And so to me, that's the positive. We see our volunteers and the work that they're continuing to do, and more folks reaching out and say, what volunteer opportunities are available for us? Local organizations like the Mill Creek Police Association doing food drives for us and getting involved. So to me, that's what the positive takeaway is here. Yeah, there are some major challenges that we're all facing, but the community is willing to come together and support each other.
All right. I want to see if we can do something like totally random and spontaneous. Do you guys take Venmo? Or Cash App or something like that, or PayPal?
I'm sure we do. I have to talk to.
Is there? All right, but we can go. Can we donate online?
Yeah, so we do have like QR codes, that sort of stuff. But yeah, folks can go to NWPA.
I'm going to go there right now.
Foodbank.org.
NWPA
big donate
Food Bank
button right there.
All right, so NWPA Foodbank.org, and so there's a need food, but right above.
Yeah,
it says donate.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought up
right there, and it's
food,
like it's $50 a month or one time, and boom, you just click on it and keep going.
Yeah, and I do want to mention, if you are struggling, right, and if you need food assistance, you can go to our website nwpafoodbank.org. We have a food finder right up there where you can click into that, put your address in, and it will search our network and find
food,
local pantries, local supports for you. We also have a phone number there as well. So if it's a food crisis and you need emergency food right away, you can call that number and talk to a person.
I'm clicking in Union City, there's it wants an address, so you have to put your
you put your address in, and then it'll find local members of our network. But yeah, NWPAfoodbank.org. You can click on donate right there. Try to make it as simple as possible.
This community needs a mission-driven, positive person like you. Four times like this. I really, I am. You could really wallow in the enormity of the need right now. But you're not doing that. You're moving forward.
Yeah, you know what I'm telling my teams? You all didn't create any of the situations you see out there. You didn't raise grocery prices. You didn't shut down the federal government. You didn't not pass a budget or this or that. What I'm telling them is we're feeding people. That is what we do. We're going to figure out a way to do it. We're going to work together. We're going to work with partners. We're going to work with communities, volunteers. All we need to focus on is feeding our neighbors in need.
Greg Hall, CEO of Second Harvest Food Bank. Again, the website is nwpafoodbank.org. Appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
It was a great conversation here. Stay with us. More ahead here on Talk Erie.